Good morning, everybody. Pastor Rick here from Broadman Baptist Church, and today is the Broadman Word for April 21st, 2021. Kind of a cool day. We got the 21st of April in the year 2021. I want to talk to you today about turning away wrath, and as part of that concept from Proverbs 15, I want to explore the broader context of it in terms of reconciliation, and specifically the ministry of reconciliation that all Christ followers should have as primary. If you're doing something and that something isn't generating reconciliation, if it's not part of your ministry of reconciliation, then unfortunately you're not acting for God. You're not living out God's will at that moment. You're acting for yourself, and whatever it is not really going to be blessed or end up being a blessing to you. And so we all want to be fulfilled. We want to have God's blessings. We want to act in His will. So we need to keep at forefront that we are the agents of reconciliation. We are here to continue the ministry that Jesus left us, and that is to reconcile everybody to the cross. One of the more important things that we can do as part of that ministry is to turn away wrath. You know, we are in a situation where there has never been more forms of communication available to people. And those forms of communication have never been as wide-reaching as they are now, nor as fast. If you think about it, between emails, cell phones, video, social media platforms, somebody can spread a massive amount of information really fast. Might not do anybody any good, and it might be, in fact, detrimental. But nonetheless, it has an equal chance to be spread as far and as wide as any positive message. So we then need to be very careful in our communications. I talked to you Monday, and I'm going to do just a brief reminder here that before you send an email, before you write an email, read it. Read it before you write it. Before you say something, hear it before you say it. Before you do something, watch it before you do it. And in this way, you can not only be an agent of reconciliation, but you can probably use this very same process to turn away wrath. You know, it is not always easy to be a believer and to profess the truth of the gospel. It runs counter to many popular social norms right now. And the social engineers and those who are not of the Christian faith are going to see it as hateful and bigoted, and even counterproductive. And they will try to say things that are very wrathful. They may even try to do things that are very wrathful. So we're then left with the challenge to turn away this wrath and to maintain our position of reconciliation. Not always an easy thing to do. I promise you, one way that it can't be done is perching your fingers of fury over the keyboard, ready to respond to an ugly post, even if it might not have been about you, something you disagree with, or something that may be quite offensive to the gospel. That's not going to get it done. Let me read to you from Proverbs 15. It says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. While the hot-tempered person stirs things up, the patient person calms them down." That's verse 18. When we get a critical comment from a colleague, a side remark, or something sarcastic or hurtful from a friend or a family member, nasty reply to something from a stranger, or even an initial contact from a stranger. At that point, you not only have a choice, but you have a responsibility. And that responsibility is 24/7. It is never not your responsibility to be a minister of reconciliation. So you could speak, the choice is you could speak angry words back, and you may be, in human terms, right and justified. The problem is, while you could be 100% humanly correct and humanly justified, at that very moment you can be 100% spiritually wrong. And of course, you're a spirit being now with a physical existence. So being spiritually wrong should be of much more concern to you than being justified or humanly correct. So I'm going to implore you now to be gentle with your answers. Try not to post or communicate things that are going to invite angry replies unless you're just simply posting biblical truths or concepts for them to be seen and heard. We have to do that. But be ready for the blowback, and be ready to be reconciliatory. Be ready to reconcile those angry remarks. And so I'm going to ask you to adopt a three-step process. First of all, have an understanding of what you are in the kingdom, who you are, and what your job is. That's not part of the 3 steps. That's just a basic understanding. Figure it out. Get this idea of you as a priest and a minister of reconciliation firmly planted, and that everything you do needs to support those 2 things. That's just the baseline. 3-step process, I already alluded to it earlier. I'm going to summarize it for you now. Before you write up a social media post or an email, read it first. Read it before you even write it. Secondly, before you say something, listen to it. Before you even form the words in your mouth, listen to what you're about to say. Before you do something, watch it. Remove yourself from the situation and watch what it is that you intend to do, what action it is you intend to take, and then let it play out in your mind, because you're pretty good at knowing what's going to happen. If you follow that 3-step process, you should then come up with a conclusion that allows you to exercise the ministry of reconciliation while also simultaneously turning away wrath. And in those ways, the kingdom can be moved forward. The good purposes of God can be served through you, and division and evil turned away from you. So listen, critical time. Words matter. Actions matter. And communication is a tricky thing anymore. Be sure that you are communicating Christ no matter what it is that you do. Hey, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day in the Lord. It is a marvelous day to be a Christian, and I'll talk to you next time.